What is going on, guys? It is your boy Cash, and it is time to talk about Baiken or Baiken. Someone put bacon in my, oh, you talking about bacon, but they spelled bacon like correctly. So I was like, who the hell's bacon? But it's like bay for Baiken and then bacon, whatever. All right, so I'm gonna do a character guide on her because, oh my god, the negativity is strong within this one. She is the limited banner character, and as we know with limited banner characters, they're supposed to be busted. So Soul is obviously good. I'll do his later. But I want to talk about Baiken because I didn't think that people would be negative towards her. Because when I reviewed it, I was like, oh, this is great, this is great. So I want to first go by just stats. Now, when I go by stats, I'm gonna go by fully awakened, 6-star, because that is the like when we, let's talk about the best of the best. So for Baiken, we're gonna have to look at it as boom, attack is gonna be 12, 28, speed is 113. And I'm gonna also bring in with their awakening buffs, like the awakening stats that they get, and that's gonna be a slight increase to the crit chance, being now 23%, and that's about it. Soden has the higher crit chance through awakening. I think that is the biggest that is possible. And also on top of that, for a bleed character, see, Karen is not a debuff character. Karen has one debuff and that's it. But when you awaken Soren, you also get 12% effectiveness. As I mentioned, or lack of mentioning, is that Baiken does not get that. And I think that that is a huge oversight. I think that I would actually trade Baiken's increased HP, like how high her HP is and how her speed is actually lower. So this is where I would say that Soden is likely better, but I'm going to show you, or I'm going to explain to you guys why I do think Baiken is still better than Soden. See here, I do think that she should get effectiveness, and the more specific reason is that she has chances to do stuff. So I do think that if there was any change that I would give Baiken, if she was to get buffed in any way, I would take the chances out. Now, when you do that, that actually does two things for her. I know that people are talking about the multipliers, and the multipliers are whatever, like, like how this character goes into this. First of all, they're two different elements, so like, that's a huge different thing. Like, where is Soren going to be usable against certain characters versus Baiken? Baiken right now, to me, just elemental wise, is huge because of how much water characters, and then Soren will got her thing once people like Baiken are really big, as I just shown that her Soren's speed is quicker. She can on a speed build with the same increase of speed, Soren will have more speed, but we all know that that doesn't matter because of the, what is it, the 5% gamble dice roll. Anyway, so hey, congratulations Mosar. I have not summoned yet, and I will not be doing my summon video until they fix the lag, just so you guys know. I refuse to be interrupted by Raz the Hedgehog. But eventually, effective resistance is going to plague a character like Baiken that does need to land debuffs. And the fact that she has a chance for it to initially happen, then you have to go through the chance of their effective resist, which is crazy because, as you guys can see, you don't have any effective resist when you start off. So you have to gain it by equipping it. So that's why usually for squishy characters, this is perfect. But her whole aspect of her S3 is to is to bypass, is to do a lot of damage to characters. And if you're gonna hit a character that probably has that squishy, then her whole like setting up kind of is gonna come off lackluster. So yeah, that's just kind of about that. So let's go over her skills. The tatame Gaeshi, I think. I hope. Attacks the enemy repeatedly with a 45% chance to inflict 2 bleed effects for 2 turns. A critical hit will reduce the caster's skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Now, again, when I was talking about this, is that if they remove the effect chance part of it, then it would do more damage because the Molagoras will not have to go into effect chance anymore. So that would make it creep, because that's all Soren has. Soren has, I think, cooldown reduction on one of her things, and then everything else is damage. Same thing with like I think Sigurd has it, same thing too. Like, it's just damage, so you just add more damage. Even if her multipliers are lower, when you actually skill up this character, like, you have to skill up this S1 to get it to 70%, and still the 70% chance to happen per bleed tick. And we're gonna see that when we go preview the skills, that even though it says you can get 2 here, you might get 1 or you might get none, just depending on the resistance factor and the fact that if it even triggers. So on base 45%, you have pretty much a coin flip for each bleed to even land at all. So that's what I think weakens her a lot. Next up, we got the long ass word. Let's go. Surane Sazu Watashi, I think. Hopefully, attacks the enemy with expert swordsmanship with a 55% chance each of inflicting 3 bleed effects for 2 turns. A critical hit will guarantee an extra turn. I do think, like I said, that it would be so much better if maybe it's not for each, and if it is, if it does or it does or it doesn't, it doesn't. The reason why they do this is because with the S1 and the S2, if one tick doesn't go, you'll still possibly get the 1. Here you have 3 separate chances to land a bleed. So, you know, it's not a hit. You might get 3, you might get 2, you know. And then of course we got the last one, Gairo Tensei, and delivers a deadly blow, detonating any bleed effects inflicted on the enemy at the end of the turn. A critical hit increases the combat readiness of all allies. Now, there's a lot of cool things you can do with her, and that's what I wanted to explain. And you guys know when I do the guides, I'm trying my best, you know, to give you guys as many options and situations that you can use it. Now, the reason why I will say that she's actually better than Sorin is that Sorin only has one way of applying debuffs. She can only put debuffs on with her S2. The S3 does respond to any debuff. It doesn't really matter if it's a bleed or not. It does detonate bleeds, but it does more damage based on debuffs on the character regardless. But she actually has the ability to still apply bleeds, even though, you know, let's say that they put up a immunity. Let's say we're fighting Angelica, right? So even though, you know, the Angelica puts up the debuff, you have a chance, instead of holding your S2 and just holding it on for the perfect opportunity. And I've used Sorin. Sorin is one of my favorite characters. And when I try to use her in PvP, that's what I always got. Like, I always had this time where I had to sit there and wait so long for this perfect opportunity to S2, and then you'll get enough, you know, if you're fast enough, you can hit the S3 if the bleed and stuff like that lands long enough. And see, Baiken doesn't really have that. As long as she's actually critting, she's doing a lot. She's actually, either when you S3, you're still gonna hit it. So let's say if there's no bleeds at all on the character, right? You can just S3 and combat boost everybody. That's crazy. Now, Sorin has the ability to boost herself, and the whole point of that is that you S2, S3, and you S1 again to extend the bleeds, and you keep the bleeds going. That's kind of how Sorin works. But Baiken, you're actually able to, you get to choose how you want to do that. If you want her to be this, and now again, if they took the combat readiness, then they would do more damage. But here it is 25% combat readiness boost, which is really good on a character that you're going to want to be fast and possibly might take turn 1 or turn 2. So there's a lot of theory of what you can do with the character. If you have high enough crit, yes, you can go for the S2, S3. If 3 bleeds land, that is a decent amount of damage. I know when they showcased it in the video, it was like this sitting there with like massive stacks of bleed, and that seems cool, but that's actually not, at least in PvP, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna probably have like 2 to 3 bleeds when you're gonna S3 a character. That's very likely more like what's gonna happen. Here, you probably don't need 7 stacks of bleed you know, to kill in PvP. You probably need like 2, and that's probably gonna kill a squishy. To kill a tank, you probably just want to S1 and S2 them until they have so much that the detonation, and what we need to test obviously is the detonation, and people are gonna have to do that. But like I said, I can't summon for the character at the moment because it's just the server is entirely too laggy. But what is not laggy is previewing the skill. Let's go into the skill preview. Alright, we had our bad girl Baiken here, and let's look at the Tatami Kaeshi. As you can see, it doesn't always lead to 2 bleeds. It, you know, it's supposed to. It could. All right. Next up is the S2. As you can hear, the sound design. Love the sound design. As you can see, this is supposed to drop 3 bleeds each tick for each. Not doing it. That is the big issue here. Look, 1 bleed. Ugh. And last but not least, we have the S3. Oh, sorry, I already butchered the name of this. And then we have the Gairo Tensei, and here we go. Let's look at that. And then we'll show you like what happens when you have at least one on there. See, you see the detonate tick, and you'll see that it's gonna go up by 20 damage. Nothing too crazy. Obviously, I'm doing it against dummies, so it doesn't really matter too much. 140. Doesn't matter if there's a crit or not. Doesn't matter if you soul burn it. It's still gonna be, the detonation tick is gonna be the same. So yeah, just those are her lovely skills. And yeah, let's get into the gear. I know you guys want to hear about the gear. And boom, so I'm gonna get the torn sleeve. I should be summoning. Maybe I should. I should just summon. Rage, there we go. Rage is obviously gonna be a really good set. I do think crit damage is gonna be good as well as a set because of the fact that you're gonna be building crit on her anyway. Rage is something that not that many characters can really utilize. I do think Karen could utilize it as well because these are characters that have follow-ups after landing a debuff naturally in their kit. So you can easily, wow, this might directly go on it, right? Attack speed, you know, crit damage, crit chance, no matter where it rolls, it's beautiful. This is probably like the best thing that you would look for in a one slot, the weapon slot. But since she puts bleeds, you know, pretty much on our S1 and S2, it will boost the damage of your S3 nuke, it will boost your damage of your S2, and you know, after you have a follow-up and any other debuffs that your team is landing, because this game is a plethora of debuffs, you should be utilizing them as much as you can. Stuns, you know, stun sleeps if you're running with some type of mage with sit out in, you know, team composition is going to be huge when you do a rage set. I do think that you should keep that in mind when you do a rage set, not just have it that your character can benefit from it, but you know, make sure your team is also landing some debuffs, you know, that can help out. Like, don't put, you know, Baiken with like Angelica and Tamarine. I know Angelica has a stun, but the likelihood of you having debuffs if she doesn't have debuff, if Baiken doesn't land a debuff, is low. You want to put her with some people that are going to put some dirty stuff on the other team. Like I said, crit damage is another good option since you're going to be building a lot of it. You're going to be building a lot of crit chance, so crit damage is another really good option. I would have to say you obviously can go for speed depending on if you want her to just go first. S2, S3 knocks someone out, but that is only going to be dependent on the detonation damage, the likelihood of the immunity set in PvP. As far as PvE, and I haven't spoken about that, I do apologize. PvE, it's kind of brain dead. She'll sit there and just dot up the target and then just kill him. Same way Sorin is good, she'll do the same thing, but like I said, more consistently, because Sorin, you have to have that S2, and if that S2 doesn't land, because it's the same thing, effective resistance, you have to have high effectiveness. If the S2 does not land debuffs, guess what, brother? You're sitting there with Sorin until that S2 comes right back off cooldown, unless you have another character that puts bleeds on the target in PvE. So she can sit there and she has multiple chances to put it on. I'm not gonna say counterattack, but you know, whatever, you could do that too. Dual Unity is not that bad, that she'll go when other characters are going and things of that nature. It could be pretty good, but I hope that I gave you guys a decent argument why she's actually really good. You know, I do think that one or two things can be changed, but I do think she's really good. Like I said, rage, crit is pretty much your 2 set. You have to you need as much crit chance at least to go for the, if you want to go for the early S2, S3 combat readiness, push the rest of your team, especially if you're running a speed crit, which would be ridiculous, highly ridiculous if you do that in 25% boost. And then I'm gonna have to give you guys the recommendation of what to level up first. Now, I'm gonna have to lean towards the S3. The reason why is that even though these are low and then this thing won't really activate, I think that the fact that the combat readiness push would be better for PvP as you were leveling the character. Leveling these first just seems like, you know, even though the chance go up, you might not get anything, but the S3 is guaranteed to happen. As long as you land the crit, you will combat readiness boost all your allies. And like I say here, as long as you're critting here, you're still going to reduce the cooldowns, and as long as you're critting here, you're still going to get the extra turn. And other people getting the goddamn, I'm about to summon. Then my summon video about to come right up. You know, we're going to do like one summon at the end of this or something. But that's why I would say S3, then S2, then S1. That's how I would level up. The reason why, obviously, because the S2 leads into other things. S2, S3 but I think the S3 should be first because of the combat readiness push, especially for PvP. PvE doesn't really matter. I guess in PvE you'd obviously do the first two, the 1 and the 2, because you need to land on much bleeds, free damage on the boss targets, yada yada. So next thing up, we're gonna have to go into the loveliness that is the artifacts. And we are here with the most busted of busted. All right, so RNL is obviously good, and it has been confirmed that I said it in my reveal video, is that if she can S2, if you see the RNL proc, that means you can S2, S1, S3. That has been confirmed. So that is actually bananas. But even still, I would say that that is a awesome combo if she's like max skilled, because then all those debuffs would land and you get a guaranteed nuke. But as I've also mentioned, that if you're especially hitting a squishy target, you probably don't need all those bleeds to knock out a squishy target. That's more for like a bruiser-esque, like if you were trying to kill like Baiken, I know she's earth, she'll probably miss on him, but just as an example, like a kind of bulky target, you'll probably need that many bleeds. Like I said, that is 3, 5, that's a potential for 5 bleeds on top of a character. But in PvE, obviously all that stacking would benefit you, and also the turn cycling on the S1 and the RNL will get you your S3 and all your other cooldown back. So RNL is still one of the best thief things. It should be on one of your thieves, if not at least one of your thieves on someone. It's just really good. There's no reason not to use it if you have it. Wind Rider. Now, Wind Rider is after you nuke the hell out of a target, you will actually then go stealth and then get an attack buff, which is really good. It also kind of, you know, she's a ninja, you know, kind of thing. But the cool thing about that though is that if there are any bleeds, you know, the increase to her attack for the turn while she's stealth will actually make those bleeds tick a little bit harder. I do think that, you know, it's not the best, you know, I think the stealth does help her stay alive, because when you are stealth, even if they do manage to hit you, you take less damage, and you know, she has really good HP, so it's not the worst thing in the world. I do think honestly most of the thief artifacts are just good on base, so like this one's pretty good. It allows her to just kind of sit in the shadows and then go out there, go to another turn crit, and if she keeps killing people, she'll just keep firing back and back and back and back. So pretty good in my opinion. I forgot this existed. All right. Now what this was, I remember this was like, oh, this is the Chiron artifact. So she gets a chance to be granted attack and crit chance buff at the end of her turn. So this is obviously pretty good if you like S2 and then you have the proc happen and then you have an attack and crit chance, so you have a cheese, you're gonna do more damage based off the attack. You're also gonna have a higher chance to crit on the S3. So but then again, that the thing that's so weird about this is that you already have to run crit, so you can't hope that this artifact gives you the crit chance. You already kind of need it from jump. So I would actually say this is somewhat bad, just because it just doesn't, you need crit from jump, you need it from the beginning, so you don't want to get it from your artifact only at a chance to happen, so you need to build it up first. So I would say I wouldn't use Alexa's backseat. Violent Talisman increases the attack and evasion, and it just keeps stacking. This is probably going to be a no for me as well. Her, you know, the evasion thing is cute and all, but she'll still take damage even if they do go after her. And you know, she gets a lot of turns, like she will stack it definitely because she has an S2, you know, that gives her additional turns, she'll stack it, but it's just not as good as the other artifacts I think that you can put on her. Of course, we have the loveliness that is her own artifact, which is the Torn Sleeve, which is going to give her a more consistent, which is again very frustrating, that you can 100% chance to leave bleeds with an artifact but not actually on her, actually in her kit. I do think that if they were to change it, that max skill ups, if they can't make it that it's automatically a thing, but maybe at max skill ups you get 100, whatever. But obviously this is good. All her attacks are single attacks, so it gives her a chance to land more consistent things, and then it will allow you to S2 if all 3 land, then you get the 4th one, then you hit them with the alt, then it attack, and you know, all this fancy stuff happens. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, someone that has Torn Sleeve, you can correct me, I don't care, that you would detonate all the bleeds, and then I think after, you know, you'll put another bleed on top of it, because it does say after 2 turns after a single attack. I do think the bleed will come afterwards, if I'm not mistaken. This is also really good if you are running the rage set, so you can have a more consistent chance to leave a 2-turn bleed on the target. Really, really good. Really, really good, obviously. Moonlight Dreamblade, we're going into the 4-star artifacts. It's a decent one. It gives you evasion chance, so it gives you a free stat, you know, and if you evade, you get an increased attack. I think it's okay. I do think that, you know, if you happen to evade, it does help you possibly survive, take less damage. But obviously we like these on characters that have some type of synergy with evasion. This one's just good if you don't have any of the 5-star artifacts. I do think pretty much every 5-star artifact except the basket, Alexa's basket or whatever, is better, you know, because this one you have a 20% chance, you know, if it's maxed out, easy to max out because it is 4-star every time to get that. And if you evade, boom, you will granted an attack boost, which will help your bleeds, help your overall damage. So it's still pretty good. This one, I've always had a love-hate relationship with the Elia's knife. It obviously, penetration damage is really good, and when not attacking an enemy not at max HP, 20% removes the defense if it's maxed out. Obviously this is good because you S2, they are no longer at max HP, and boom, you hit them with the new penetrating defense, 20% of their defense, which is obviously good, especially if you need to take out someone that's a little chunky. And on top of that, you know, you also, like I said, if you're running the rage, you know, you're doing even more damage. You're running the crit, you're running crazy amounts of damage, and it's also penetrating defense as long as they're not at max HP, as long as they're not full health, which is really good, especially since you're going to be going against Deannes and Angelicas that are going to be healing the full, and the turns that they don't have their stupid, you know, barriers up. As soon as you start doing some damage, you're going to start penetrating their defense, and then you'll start bringing them down even quicker. It is a good artifact. It just seems like sometimes it doesn't, the damage increase that it's supposed to do, because not that many characters, not that many people in PvP specifically are building a lot of defense to where this really makes a lot of sense anyway. But you will see it eventually, especially as you get higher up. People are definitely building tankier characters, so yeah. Dust Devil. Now, her doing 2 S1 seems okay. Like, it does seem okay. I wish it was like Sword of Judgment, because if it was like Sword of Judgment, it would be actually busted on her, because that means she can S3 S1, S2 S1 on like a consistent basis, because she would just keep doing it. 2 S1s is technically possibly 4 bleeds, and you know, 4 bleeds, 2 cooldown reductions, which is really good. Dust Devil is, like, again, just same thing with like RNL, just really good. If you have it, you should use it. But yeah, and it's as long as they survive, also keep that in mind. So it's basically to stack up your bleeds and also set you up for a quicker S2, S3, because it will lower your cooldowns, and then your S2 comes back up, and then boom, you hit them with the S3. So yeah, I think Dust Devil stuff really good on her. Why is this in the game? Don't put this on your character, just don't. So yes, let's go into 3-star artifacts that I think are worth mentioning. Obviously, we're gonna have to go with the Extending Axe. If your crit chance is not as high as you'd like it to be, this does give you some crit chance every time you make a crit, making her overall like more sustainable, really good for farming and stuff like that. Also, Sword of the Morning, really good. Attack and speed will increase as you get lower on HP. Obviously, really good. Daydream Joker is really good, especially if you're going to be using her in any type of PvE thing. And also, which I don't know if people know, and it's probably screws me over more than other people, but specifically because I run HP characters, this screws over HP built characters, because every Luna is built on it, built with a Daydream Joker for Wyvern 11. She eats my Ken alive, literally, just because they have Daydream Joker. So when they start bringing out these really high HP Angelicas, Deannes, having her possibly on the Daydream Joker actually will help you DPS these characters down. It just adds extra damage, and if their HP happens to be high, it will do damage. And if it's not as high, it's just free damage. Daydream Joker is a really good addition to a character. Like I said, if you don't have anything else, or you just realize that the PvP meta swings towards HP heavy, which at higher tiers it kind of does, so nothing wrong with that. Oh geez, everyone. Yo, this video is just full of good pulls. I mean, obviously that's what the whole purpose is, that they're just gonna send it up, but geez, man, I'm talking about Daydream Joker, someone pulling Celestine and Specimen says like, fuck this thing. And that's it for the lovely Baiken, the Earth Thief. I do think, like I said, let me just recap everything. I've been trying to do that. I do think she's good. I wish that they would change her chances and either make it that they're 100% at max Molagora, or just take them out entirely. And to be more fair to the community, it would be better if you max skill them and it's 100%. That would be better. I did skip over Luna, so I'm definitely gonna get Baiken. I'm going to be sniping all your Lunas, because I'm gonna be going. I want to run a rage set. I have no characters to run a rage set on, so I do think that would be really good to finally have a character. Which, like I said, Karen can do it, but I would rather run Karen on something else. But since she always has so many bleeds up, I think I would go rage set, possibly with her artifact, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I do have RNL, so definitely rather run RNL than her artifact. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, if I gave you guys some good insight. If not, you guys can leave it in the comments. I always pin if someone leaves a way better insight or something that I might have missed out. I always pin that on YouTube, or I comment on Reddit as well. So yeah, see you guys, and hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.